Hello everyone and welcome to PendulumEdu, and we are back with another vocabulary session for you guys, and in this session we will be discussing yet another new set of words. Now I hope and believe the previous sessions of word list you have gone through on the site, and the link of these word lists that we discuss with you every day is there in the description, so go below and go to the link, have the list of the words and practice as much as you want. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel for such sessions and more other sessions, you can subscribe it right away. Let's begin with today's session, and the article for today heads as Unrest in Pakistan on movement against Imran Khan government. Now there's some sort of tensions going on in Pakistan. It is because that there is a movement and there is a protest against Imran Khan's government, or you can say Imran Khan government, because the government there is being led by Imran Khan. So that's the unrest that is there in Pakistan. Popular sentiment is building against the army and the government. Now popular sentiment is building against the army and the government, which means there's some sort of sensitive issue or point that has triggered, there, and it is leading it against the army and the government. Events in Pakistan's Sindh province in the last few days indicate that the Imran Khan government is dealing with a serious political crisis. Now it indicates, which means there's something that has happened. Events like multiple events or multiple incidents have taken place in the Sindh province there in Pakistan, which indicate or which highlight or which hint that there is some sort of issue or crisis wherein the Imran Khan government has to deal with such a political crisis or such issues or problems that are there at their hand. Perhaps its biggest since taking office in 2018. Since the moment the moment Imran Khan took over and the office in 2018, since then, if you compare or if you go towards the trajectory, if you see as of now, then it is the biggest crisis ever that has come throughout. I believe it's 3 years of ruling, or 3 years of 3 years of his governance. So it has 11 opposition parties. Now mark my words, 11 opposition parties which have now formed the Pakistan Democratic Movement, that is PDM. Now this is much in news, and this is again from current affairs perspective an important point. So PDM have held 2 mammoth rallies. Mammoth. Now mammoth is an adjective. It is an adjective which means huge. कहते हैं ना विशाल, बहुत बड़ी, like huge, big. So it has held 2 mammoth rallies, part of a plan for nationwide agitations. Part of a plan for nationwide agitations. Guys, agitation is a noun subject, alright, which means the situation of unrest or anxiety. कहते हैं ना व्याकुलता. So that is agitation. When the situation is full of anxiety, unrest, chaos, and everyone is aggressive, that moment is agitation. So what they say is that altogether 11 opposition parties. There are 11 opposition parties that have come together, and coming together, what they have done, they have formed a movement, that is Pakistan Democratic Movement. This is abbreviated as PDM, and through this, what they've done, they have come up with mammoth rallies, like 2 rallies so far. They have come up with huge rallies, which is their plan, which is a part of a plan. These rallies are, you can say, a smaller attempt or a small step towards the plan for nationwide agitations calling for resignation of PTI government over law and order, food shortages, inflation, and gas cuts. So these are the problems that people are facing there in Pakistan. And it has been in the news, and amid the pandemic, the situation has worsened. Their people don't have food, they don't have jobs, they don't have their regular pays, there's gas cuts, there's inflation. So everything, if you talk about basic necessity of life, people are struggling there. So the question is, what is the government doing right there? Nobody knows, right? So the point is that they're asking for resignation of PTI government. They want them to give up. They want them to just abandon the office, okay? And this is the agitation, this is the uproar. Agitation, you can also say uproar. This is why people are there, aggressive, there's anxiety and chaos all around. It further says, the writer further says, they have called the Prime Minister both a failure at governance and the military's puppet. Puppet is a noun. Puppet means, cut putli. Cut putli. Okay, I'm going to write. I'm wiping off the screen and I'm going to write it back again. So puppet is a noun subject. In Hindi we say kat putli. Okay, kat putli. This is kat putli, which is a person who is a person under else's control. तो जब किसी और के कंट्रोल में होते हैं तो उसको हम पपेट कहते हैं ना, वो उनको जैसे नचाओ वैसे नाचते हैं. So people, according to these people and the 11 opposition parties that have all come together, they have criticized the Prime Minister for 2 points, and these are the valid points. They summarize everything. The 2 major points amid what the other things fall. Or I would say under what other things fall. So one is that he failed at governance. He couldn't manage the country well. He couldn't run the country well. Whatever was necessary, he couldn't match up to. It was the things went unmatched. Like I wouldn't say unmatched. The things went haywire. Okay, there was no match. There was no I would say ideal governance that he showcased. Nothing at all. So he failed at this. Secondly, he's always been a military's puppet. Like whatever the military men or the officials came up with, he always followed that. So these are 2 points that people have criticized him for, and the things that people are and the consequences that people are facing because of his failure. Okay, the entire country or entire nation at present is suffering really harsh. Further, the writer says, but what has surprised many is their solidarity as well as the sharpness of their attack. At the rally in Gujranwala, former PM and Pakistan Muslim League Chief Nawaz Sharif, speaking from London, named Army Chief General Qamar Bajwa and ISI Chief Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid for rigging elections, restrictions on the media, harassment of journalists, putting pressure on the judiciary and subverting their democratic institutions. They say that, but what has surprised many out there has been the solidarity. Solidarity is the noun which means unity. कहते हैं ना एकजुटता. तो काफ़ी लोग तो इससे भी सरप्राइज हैं कि वो जो इनके बीच की जो यूनिटी है, देखिएगा कि इनके बीच की, and solidarity as well as the sharpness of their attack. Sharpness of their attack, that they have posed verbal attack, or you can say some sort of action that has been taken when it was at the rally of Gujranwala, when they went for this rally. Former PM and the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz Sharif, what he did, he spoke from London and named Army Chief General Qamar Bajwa and ISI Chief Lieutenant Faiz Hamid for rigging elections. Rigging elections, which means there was some rigging, is hera pheri karna. Okay, So what they did here, it's a use as a verb which means to mutate something, किसी चीज़ को damage करना, किसी चीज़ के साथ छेड़खानी करना, उसमें कुछ changes करना. So that is what they have been accused of. Moreover, they have been accused of restrictions on the media. They have restricted the media probably because they were afraid of all the illegal attempts, or you can say negative, or you can say such I would say such illegitimate steps that they have taken. Okay, I was thinking of synonym to illegal, that's illegitimate. And harassment of journalists, they have harassed journalists to a great extent, putting pressure on the judiciary and subverting other democratic institutions. Subverting, that is, subvert is used here as a verb which means to dominate, like to take over. Take over someone else. किसी को suppress कर देते हैं ना, जैसे हम, okay, सब पलट देना. उनको आपने पलट दिया है completely, आपने उनको turn down कर दिया है और आप ऊंचे उठ गए हो. So they have subverted all the other democratic institutions as well. While most Pakistani politicians, Mr. Khan included, have attacked Pakistan's omnipotent military establishment. Omnipotent is an adjective, learners. It means powerful, all powerful. कहते हैं ना सर्वशक्तिमान. Omnipotent के लिए हिंदी वर्ड क्या है? सर्वशक्तिमान. Alright, that is the word for omnipotent. Sarvashaktiman. So isn't that though if you talk about most of the Pakistani politicians, wherein Mr. Khan is inclusive, like this Prime Minister, he's himself there, they've attacked the Pakistan's omnipotent military establishment when in opposition. Whenever these Pakistani politicians are in opposition, they've always attacked the military establishment, and probably this is the reason why when they are in power, they go by what they say and drop the rhetoric when they come to power. See, as I just said, and drop the rhetoric. Rhetoric is, I'm going to wipe off the screen and then explain it to you. So, and drop the rhetoric. Rhetoric here is used as a noun which means the way of speech. So this speech is for the military establishment. Military establishment. So whatever they spoke about them, they gave up. They dropped it. They dropped the rhetoric the moment they came to power. हम rhetoric को हिंदी में कहते हैं वक्रपटुता. जो एक तरीका होता है ना अपनी बात को रखने का या बात करने का या कहने का, उस चीज़ की अगर बात करें तो वो पहले तो बहुत अपोज करते हैं जब वो अपोजिशन में होते हैं, पर जैसे ही वो पावर में आते हैं वो अपनी सारी जो रिटोरिक होती है, या आप कह सकते हो जो वे ऑफ स्पीकिंग है, वे ऑफ स्पीच है फॉर टुवर्ड्स मिलिट्री, वो छोड़ देते हैं और ड्रॉप कर देते हैं. Mr. Sharif's comments indicate a popular sentiment that is chaffing at the curbs by the Pakistani establishment. That is chaffing at the curbs, that is annoying. Chaffing here is used as a verb which means to annoy. किसी को परेशान करना, किसी को ज़बरदस्ती ना करना. तो Mr. Sharif's comment, which indicate a popular sentiment, if you see, it has chaffed the curbs by the Pakistani establishment. The PTI government's response is a well-worn script. Well-worn script मतलब well prepared. तो जो PTI गवर्नमेंट का रिस्पॉन्स है मिस्टर शरीफ के कमेंट पर या स्टेटमेंट पर, वो एक वेल प्रिपेयर्ड स्क्रिप्ट है, एंड दीज पीपल हैव ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर एंड दे हैव नोन what might come and what they would further have to come up with or do it. Okay, this is what they've come up. Moving ahead, the writer says, for the past few months, government prosecutor is a noun which is a person who files a case against, or case, or you can say who lodges a complaint against someone. Okay, isko, if yes, so that's a prosecutor. हिंदी में कहते हैं अभियोक्ता. Alright, that's an abhiyokta in Hindi. We say prosecutors को abhiyokta कहते हैं. So government prosecutors on Mr. Khan's orders have focused on preparing cases to send as many members of the opposition to prison. Now see what they have done. They say that for the past few months, if you go, then many government prosecutors for Mr. Khan's orders, they have focused, or they have emphasized. What have they emphasized? They have emphasized on preparing cases, preparing cases, like to work on the cases that are coming up. If not, then prepare the fake ones and send as many members of opposition to prison. The co-chairperson of the Pakistan's People's Party and former Pakistan President Asif Ali Zardari is already in custody on money laundering charges. We know money laundering, right? कहते हैं ना जो पैसे की हेरा फेरी, पैसे की हेरा फेरी, that is money laundering. Okay, so he is already there, of the former Pakistani president. He's already there in money laundering charges. He is there in custody, while the government has requested the UK many times to extradite Mr. Sharif so that he can be charged and tried again. Extradite is a verb which means to hand over a criminal to the native country or the country where the crime was committed. Native country, or you can say to the country where the crime was committed. So Mr. Sharif, since he committed crime in Pakistan, so Pakistan has been continuously asking UK to send him back, to extradite him, so that they can process the execution, they can process the charges that are there against him. With the next generation of Bilawal Bhutto and Maryam Nawaz taking the stage at PDM rallies, the government swung into its next act, arresting Ms. Nawaz's husband, Captain Safdar, after a midnight raid on their hotel in Karachi, charging him with disrespecting Jinnah's mausoleum by raising anti-government slogans there. Mausoleum is a tomb, or you can say a group of tomb. कहते हैं ना मकबरा. So जो मकबरा है उधर उन्होंने उन पर क्या इल्ज़ाम लगाया है कि उन्होंने वहाँ एक रिस्पेक्टफुल जगह पर डिसरिस्पेक्टफुल स्लोगन्स यूज़ किए हैं, और एंटी गवर्नमेंट स्लोगन्स उन्होंने वहाँ जाके यूज़ किए हैं. So on that basis they have arrested him. Probably this could also be a false accusation that has been imposed on him. This may not be true, but to curb, to suppress people, probably this is another attempt by the running government, the current government, if you see. Moving ahead, the writer further says, what made matters erupt was the arrest that had reportedly been carried out after army rangers surrounded the Sindh Inspector General's home and forced him to sign the FIR against Mr. Safdar. So what happened? What is the reason behind the rallies, behind the PDM coming up? What is the reason why these opposition parties, they came together? The reason is that they had arrested him and they surrounded the Sindh Inspector, that's his General's home, and they forced him to sign the FIR that is against Mr. Safdar, because this may not be true, and probably if he's been forced, he's been compelled to do so, definitely this is not true. But this is all a cock and bull story, like false story, man gadat kahaniyan banai ja rahi hain, and they are taking actions because the government, whoever is in power, can do anything and everything when it comes to politics. Top echelons, like people of top ranks, लेवल, जो ऊंचे स्तर के लोग हैं, ऊंचे स्तर के जो लोग हैं, so that's a noun, echelon is noun. So top echelons of Sindh police force जो कि top level पर है इस police force में, backed by the provincial PPP government, rose in outrage, applying en masse for leave after expressing the distress over the humiliation meted out to their chief. En masse for leave, like in a group, in a group. En masse is a phrase, it means in a group, matlab all together, ek saath. Alright, so they have applied for en masse for leave after experiment. They have probably given up or quitted or quit their job. The reason is, or they have gone on strike, okay, all together because they wanted to express distress, that they're upset because their chief has been humiliated. Humiliation meted out, so met out, it's a phrasal verb which means to give or impart. So he has been imparted, or he has been given humiliation when their chief. So if they talk about the chiefs, then the chief has been humiliated. In response to that, to express the distress that they face, to express the upsetting experience that they have, they're not happy with the action the government has taken. To express so, they have gone on strike, they have given up their duties. This was an unprecedented response. This was unprecedented, and unexpected and unknown response, which could have seen a more serious standoff between the police and the army. And you guys know that unprecedented word we have done rigorously. I guess अब हर आर्टिकल में ये वर्ड आता है, कोविड के लिए हो, पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज के लिए हो, या फिर कोई ऐसी जो साइक्लोन फ्लड्स कर रहे थे वो भी अनप्रेसिडेंटेड. तो अनप्रेसिडेंटेड समथिंग दैट्स अनएक्सपेक्टेड, जो पहले कभी नहीं देखा या सुना हो. So कह रहे हैं कि this could have led to a serious standoff between police and army. Matters are under control for the moment. Abhi ke liye so things have settled after General Bajwa has promised an inquiry report on the controversial arrest within the next 10 days. So he has pacified and the people and the military officials also, that things would be taken into consideration. There would be an investigation, a proper investigation for the case desired arrest, that is a controversial arrest on this part. However, with politics on the boil again and the PDM planning at least 4 more rallies this year, it is clear that Pakistan's ruling party will find its feet held to the fire more frequently. Find its feet held to the fire means to be in a serious trouble or to be in a danger. मतलब उनको लगेगा कि भाई हम आग से बंधे हुए हैं, हमारा पैर जो है वो आग में है. So they will feel that they are in deep danger because what they have done, politics is in swing, like the parties are there, they are working, but the protests or the rallies coming up would make them realize that this is something of serious concern, and this is the biggest crisis ever that the present running government in Pakistan has ever faced since 2018, if we talk about, since the time this party came into rule. Okay, so this is the entire article, and this is what is going on in Pakistan. This is the status there, this is the political status, and the things that you see, the basic necessity people are struggling with, having the basic necessity, and the facilities given, and I mean the pandemic. If I talk about the pandemic, the situations have definitely worsened, so people have to cope up with it, and you see many people dying out of hunger and starvation. So this is what the status is right there, and people really need help, really need help. There's some sort of serious attempt to be made to make them come out of this. Alright, this is much needed. So this was the article for today. The words that we have discussed, the list is there in the link on the site. Okay, so the link is there in the description. Go click on the link, and those words, we have synonyms and all those words, and we have the usage of those words in a sentence. As I give you Hindi and English meaning both, similarly in the list also you have Hindi and English meanings both. I will see you soon in the next session. Till then, keep learning and growing, learners. Not to forget to subscribe to the channel for regular sessions with us. Thank you so much.